Like and subscribe right now, or this spider will crawl in your face while you're sleeping. This is a story about monsters, but not your regular kind of monsters. Massive creatures that were either captured or eliminated because of their terrifying history. Some of them had an insatiable taste for human flesh, and that's why they either found themselves captured or ended with a bullet to their name. That being said, there is one particular beast that has remained elusive to this day. Stick to the end to find out which one it is. With that being said, let's take a look at the 10 most terrifyingly gigantic man-eaters that were either captured or eliminated because of their terrifying tales of human predation. Number 10. The Lions of Njombe. The Lions of Njombe go down in history as the most tragic case of man-eating lions in the wild. It was not a single man-eater, but an entire pride that preferred human flesh over any other kind of food. The hunting spree took place in Tanzania, near the town of Njombe. Legend has it that the lions were being controlled by the witch doctor of a local tribe named Madamula Mangera. According to the reports, the witch doctor had unleashed his revenge against his own people when they banished him from the tribe. The tribesmen were so terrified of the man-eating lions that they wouldn't even dare speak of them, believing that a simple mention could trigger another bloodbath. It is believed that during their reign of terror, the lions took more than 1,500 lives. Eventually, George Rushby, famed hunter, decided to put an end to the attacks. He took out 15 lions, and the rest of the pride eventually abandoned the area, finally ending the nightmare. But of course, the locals were convinced that the lions only left because the witch doctor had made peace with the tribe. Number 9. The Champawat Tigris. During the late 19th century, a Nepalese region close to the Himalayas was terrorized by the most notorious and prolific man-eater of all time. Men, women, and children were ambushed in the jungle by the dozen. The attacks were so frequent and so bloody that people started talking about demons and even punishment from the gods. But the culprit was actually a Bengal tigress who had been shot by a hunter. She had escaped, but the bullet had broken 2 of her fangs. In constant pain and incapable of hunting her usual prey, the tigress soon transformed into a man-eater. Her reign of terror was so brutal that she claimed more than 200 lives. Eventually, the Nepalese government decided that the problem was too much, and they sent in the national army after the deadly cat. The army was led by hunter Jim Corbett, who eventually shot the tigress in 1911, ending the cat's massive reign of terror. Number 8. TwoToed Tom. TwoToed Tom is a rather obscure man-eater, and today it is hard to know which parts of his story are real and which ones are myth. This huge male American alligator was said to roam the swamps on the border of Alabama and Florida during the Roaring '20s. He had lost all but 2 of his toes in his left hand and left very recognizable tracks in the mud, so he was nicknamed TwoToed Tom by the local people. Tom was known to drag people into the swamp and devour them. One farmer even placed dynamite in an entire farm, but the explosion didn't take him out. The explosion decimated everything in the pond, but not Tom. Moments after the explosion, the farmer and his son heard a horrible scream and splashing sounds coming from a nearby pond. They rushed to the place and saw Tom's bright eyes for a moment before he disappeared under the surface. The screams were later explained when the half-eaten remains of the farmer's young daughter appeared on the shore. Number 7. The Panar Leopard. Imagine walking leisurely through the forest, only to find yourself being hunted by a wild, aggressive cat that's looking to make a meal out of you. It sounds dreadful, doesn't it? But this is exactly the experience of hundreds of people who fell under the sharp jaws of the Panar Leopard. In fact, it's considered the deadliest man-eating leopard of all time. This male leopard lived in the Kumaon area of India during the 20th century. He was most active in the Panar province, where he devoured over 400 people, being the second most prolific man-eater in modern history. Interestingly, his life was also taken by the famous hunter and conservationist Jim Corbett in 1910. This finally brought an end to his intimidating reign of terror, finally giving the people of Kumaon peace. Number 6. Kazagake. While Japan is a land that has relatively few giant predators, there is no story more legendary than that of Kazagake, a Japanese brown bear that terrorized the village of Senkabetsu in 1915. The village was a relatively small village with very few people living there. The area was also teeming with brown bears, but the most gigantic of them all was a male living around the area known as Kazagake. Kazagake loved to visit the village and feed on corn during the harvest, but on the 9th day of December in 1915, he entered the house of one of the families in the village, the Oda family. At the time, the farmer's wife was alone with her baby. The bear viciously attacked the young child, tearing him to pieces. As the woman shrieked in terror, the bear attacked her as well. She tried to fight Kazagake, but he dragged her to the forest and ate her. He later attacked another family, the Miyokes. In total, the brown bear devoured 6 people in only 2 days. Kazagake was finally captured and taken out by a famous bear hunter in the region. Number 5. Tsavo Maneaters. Perhaps the most famous tale of large man-eating lions in East Africa, the Tsavo Maneaters were two male lions that are believed to have devoured more than 140 people in 1898. At the time, the British had just begun the construction of a railway bridge over the Tsavo Reserve in Kenya. Over the next 9 months, the unfortunate railway workers became the targets of the lions, who were massive beasts measuring over 3 meters long. Because of the immense heat in the region, the Tsavo lions were maneless. They loved to attack the campers at night when it was cooler, and the men were vulnerable in their tents, dragging them into the pitch-black darkness, undoubtedly to their tragic fate of being eaten alive. Their tale was so legendary that in 1996, Hollywood adapted it into a movie known as The Ghost and the Darkness, starring Val Kilmer. The lions were eventually taken out by the chief engineer of the railway project, John Henry Patterson, but their legend lives on to this day. Number 4. The New Jersey Shark. The New Jersey great white shark is no doubt the most infamous shark of the early 20th century. She terrorized the shores of New Jersey in 1916. The first of her victims was a young man named Charles Vissant, who was attacked while swimming in shallow waters with his dog. While Vissant was rescued from the attack, the shark had severed his femoral arteries and one of his legs had been torn off. He bled profusely and met his end shortly after. The female great white attacked and devoured a few more people in the next couple of days. She was later captured in the Raritan Bay near Matawan and taken out. When her stomach was sliced open, the remains of the victims were found present. In fact, the story of the shark was a massive inspiration for Steven Spielberg's hit movie, Jaws. Number 3. The Beast of Djevouda. This is undoubtedly the most infamous man-eater in French history. The beast terrorized the French province of Djevouda from 1764 to 1767. Although often claimed to have been an unusually large wolf, the truth is the beast was never really identified. It was said to be larger than a wolf, with a reddish coloration and an unbearable smell, as well as teeth bigger than most of those of a normal wolf. The creature devoured its first victim, a young girl, in June of 1764. This was the first of a series of very unusual attacks, where the beast would target humans, specifically ignoring cattle and domestic animals. 210 humans were believed to have been attacked, and out of the 210, 113 of the victims died, and 98 were devoured. The attacks were so frequent and brutal that many believe the creature to have been a demon sent by God. Fortunately, the mysterious beast was eventually taken out in 1767 by local hunter Jean Chastel. Legend has it that Chastel used a silver bullet to end the creature's life, but this is probably a myth. Upon opening the creature's stomach, Chastel found the remains of its last human victims, confirming the animal was indeed the dreaded man-eater. And now we've come to the best pick of the day. While we might not have discussed any gigantic snakes, there have been rumors of sightings of ancient snakes known as Titanoboa in South America, though none has ever been captured. But can you imagine how massive the snake would be if it was? As this Photoshop photo suggests, you would require standard issue military trucks just to lift this behemoth. Number 2. The Bear of Mysore. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions surrounding the Bear of Mysore. Some say that the bear was a male that had originally abducted a girl as his mate. The girl was rescued by villagers, and the bear went into a frenzy of destruction as revenge for his true love being stripped from him. Sounds crazy, right? Okay. Another more plausible version is that the bear was a female whose cubs had been hunted by humans. Enraged, she enacted her revenge on a nearby village, taking the lives of more than 36 people. Fortunately, the bear was eventually taken by Kenneth Anderson, a famed big game hunter. Although the beast was very evasive and 3 hunts had to be arranged before the animal was finally brought down. Number 1. Gustav. Gustav is a legendary crocodile in Burundi who was believed to have taken the lives of more than 300 people. Although still alive and active, it is alleged that the crocodile dragged humans to their demise for sport, and not just as a simple meal wandering next to the river. He would take as many as 5 people in a week, and then disappeared for months, or even years, only to resurface later in another different location of the river to exact his terror once more. Gustav seemed to be a master at avoiding death. In fact, his tough skin bore countless scars made by knives, spears, and even firearms. A dark spot on the top of his head is the only remaining trace of a bullet wound that was supposed to have put an end to his reign, but no hunter ever successfully captured or brought him down. That being said, hunters have never given up hope. To this day, they still hunt Gustav. And with that being said, we've come to the end of this video. We hope you enjoyed it, and as always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to get more fascinating content coming your way.